some serious gut problem, whether they're aware of it or not. And things like indigestion, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, these things are just early warning signs of things that are more serious to do with your health. And once those good organisms get knocked down, basically the parasites, the candida, yeast, and the bad bacteria can take over. And when you're in that state, everything just is not pleasant. Like your immune system is compromised.
Welcome to Thriving with Diabetes, the podcast where we empower people with type 2 diabetes to live their best lives. I am your host, Gamden, a holistic wellness coach, helping people overcome the struggles they face with diabetes. I believe that with the correct knowledge, mindset, and support, you can manage your health condition more effectively and live a fulfilling life. Today, we have a special guest who is an author, businessman, and advocate for holistic health solutions. Joining us, Craig Brockie, the best-selling author of Ultimate Health, Break Free from Your Health Issues and Live Your Best Life. Craig's journey has taken him from the world of business to the forefront of health advocacy, where he shares valuable information about health, wealth, and happiness. In this episode, we will look into topics that are crucial for anyone managing diabetes or looking to improve their overall health. From understanding the profound impact of gut health on diabetes management to strategies for weight loss, Craig brings helpful insights and practical tips. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Craig Brockie to introduce himself. Craig, welcome to Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
Thank you, Gamden. It's great to be here. And I totally agree with you about diabetes being something that people can treat and handle naturally. So I applaud you for what you're doing and the message that you're sharing with people, because just relying on a drug for the rest of your life isn't always the best course of action. So 30 years ago, I would wake up in the morning and my chest was tight. I'd be filled with anxiety. I'd feel sick to my stomach. And I just want to go back to sleep. I just want to fall back asleep, but I just couldn't because my mind was already racing. Then I'd finally get out of bed and walk to the bathroom, look at myself in the mirror and wonder what happened to me. I was 21 years old and I didn't recognize myself. I was disgusted with how I looked. My gut was hanging out. My shoulders and arms were weak. And my face was bloated and sad. And I could barely look at myself in the eyes because I had, overwhelming feelings of guilt, shame, and regret for the bad choices I was making and was continuing to make. And then I started realizing that something had to change. And I was getting medical help. I actually had chronic pain at the time, and my immune system was shot. I was getting sick all the time. And I was going to conventional doctors, and that's when I quickly learned that the medical system is not designed to keep people healthy and to make people live symptom-free. It's to manage people's disease and their symptoms and keep them in this state of dependence on drugs. And what I realized was that there are natural solutions out there, and then something awesome happened and something changed. And here I am 3 decades later. I wake out of bed, ready to go, positive, optimistic. My anxiety is a thing of the past. My immune system is strong. I don't get sick. My weight is under control. I'm working out in the gym, putting on muscle. Everything's really turned around, and I've spent over $1 million of my own money in 3 decades doing advanced research into holistic healing technologies, traveling all over the world, visiting all kinds of different doctors. And I distilled that into a really simple to read book called Ultimate Health. And I just want to share that message with people because, like yourself, I see that people can live a life without drugs or as few drugs as possible and still have an active, healthy lifestyle and, have their glucose under control, have their weight under control. And I'd love to talk to you about how people can do that.
Brilliant. Very interesting story. And it shows that many people go through that or through what you faced, from chest pain, anxiety, chronic health issues, immune system, and when you fixed your health, things changed. That is very inspiring, and it's encouraging as well for people to take a step. And you didn't just made the change for yourself or you improved your health, but you got involved with some research in the field of health and wellness, and for the main reason is to help others. And
Absolutely.
One of the way you help them is with gut health. So I think understanding the link between gut health and diabetes management is crucial. So can you explain to our viewers and listeners how to improve gut health so they can make a positive impact on their health?
Yeah, for sure. And that's the first thing that really turned my health around 30 years ago was I went to a naturopathic doctor and he did a series of tests. He found out that my body was too acidic. My intestines were inflamed and I actually had something called leaky gut. And that's where the small intestines have small holes in them. Like everything's so inflamed for so long that you actually develop small holes in your gut lining, and things that you're eating and drinking are actually leaking into your bloodstream prematurely before they're properly broken down. And those are seen as foreign toxins to your system. So your immune system's just working overtime. And anybody with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome or a host of other symptoms, one could even argue a lot of pre-diabetics and type 2 diabetics likely have some serious gut problem, whether they're aware of it or not. And things like indigestion, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, these things are just early warning signs of things that are more serious to do with your health. So what I learned was that there's parasites that reside in your gut. There's a yeast organism, several, but one's called Candida. And you want to keep that in a low level. It's okay to have some, but if you take antibiotics or other types of prescriptions, if you're eating if you're eating GMO foods and wheat and gluten and these things, or like women who are on birth control pills, there's a host of things, even stress, diet sodas, all kinds of things can disrupt your gut microbiome or the good bacteria that reside in your gut. And once those good organisms get knocked down, basically the parasites, the candida, yeast, and the bad bacteria can take over. And when you're in that state, everything just is not pleasant. Like your immune system is compromised. Even your emotional state can be strongly affected, because even the American Psychological Association, you can go to their website right now, and they even acknowledge that 95% of the serotonin, which is the feel-good neurotransmitter, they recognize that 95% of the serotonin is actually produced and stored in the gut. So if your gut's not healthy, that can really affect your emotional state as well. But specific to diabetics, there's a strong popularity right now with GLP agonists, which are like Ozempic, Wegovy, semaglutide is the active ingredient. And we don't have to talk about its merits because it's very controversial and it's arguably a drug. So we don't have to talk about that today. But they are helping people manage diabetes. They are helping people with weight loss. But what's important to know is that your gut actually produces GLP-1. And if your gut is actually in a healthy state, it produces its own GLP-1, and that can help with curbing appetite. And not only that, if your gut is in good health, you can actually absorb nutrients properly, so your body actually is getting what the nutrition that it needs. And if you actually are eating the right foods, then you can actually be healthy and not have cravings if everything's in check. So I think it has a profound effect on diabetes, insulin sensitivity, and I just encourage everybody to basically take their gut health a little bit more seriously and learn about it, and then start taking things to knock out the candida and parasites, and then start taking probiotics, to repopulate good bacteria in there. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different probiotic strains and specific species that people might want to consider. There's a great book called Super Gut by Dr. William Davis that I recommend everybody read, Super Gut. And that really helps people learn how to restore their gut microbiome. Of course, there's other experts in the area of gut health. So whatever people, whatever author that they like and has good information, I think they should just gravitate towards that and start putting it into action, because it will really help them in their life in many, many ways.
Brilliant. Very interesting information about gut health. You shared a lot of insights. So basically, if our gut is compromised or affected negatively, so the whole system will be impacted. And I have heard that it's about 70 to 80% of the immune system is in our gut.
Right.
And that is powerful. And what you just mentioned shows the importance of gut health. For, you mentioned, is either for physical health, for other health health issues, and for emotional health as well. That is very key to note. And you mentioned as well eating healthy, and you suggested that probiotics, so we can strengthen the good bacteria. And it's not about getting rid of the bad bacteria, but it's about the balance. So the bad bacteria don't take over the good ones. And the last tip you recommend is to read books about gut health. And you mentioned the book which is called Super Gut. Yeah, that is very interesting. So from gut health, let's move on forward to talk about strategies for weight loss. And I know this topic is, you can say, on the top when you talk about weight loss. Many people can find it very challenging to lose weight. So based on your experience, what are some effective strategies for sustainable weight loss that align with people who are managing diabetes?
Okay. Great. Well, I mean, there's a drug called metformin. I think it's quite safe. I take it myself, but there's also a natural equivalent of that called berberine. So if someone is looking towards natural solutions, berberine is excellent. In fact, Dr. William Davis in his book Super Gut recommends taking berberine to not only help with glucose management in your body, but also it has a cleansing effect and can actually help restore the microbiome as well. And there's other products that can help clean out your gut and get the bad things out so you can get the good things in. But there's actually a probiotic strain that is known to help enhance GLP-1 production in the gut. It's actually called the GLP-1 probiotic. It's by a company called Pendulum. Like a pendulum swings back and forth. That's the brand name of it. I'm not paid for them to mention that name, but they're the only ones that I'm aware of that have a GLP-1 probiotic on the market. And what Dr. Davis teaches people to do is to actually culture their own yogurt with probiotics, because probiotics can be quite expensive, and they usually come in capsules where there's powder inside the capsules, and they're not particularly strong. Well, I mean, they have billions of live cultures, so billions sounds like a big number. But when you actually make your own probiotic yogurt with it, you can turn those, say, 10 billion live cultures in a capsule into trillions of live cultures in your own probiotic yogurt. And then on top of that, when it comes to making a new batch, you can actually use a spoonful of the probiotic yogurt to make your next batch, so you're not dependent on buying expensive probiotics all the time. So that's kind of cool, and that's a product that I developed. It's the ultimate probiotic yogurt maker. You can find it. It's the #1 bestseller on Amazon. And we also have a brand of berberine that you can check out at ultimate.club. But I mean, there's all kinds of brands of berberine out there. Anybody, no matter what country you're in, you can probably find berberine. That can help. Obviously, eating lower carbohydrate meals can help. And that's super important, because we all understand that, having a lot of sugar and a lot of refined carbohydrates is definitely going to make, glucose management and insulin management difficult. So obviously diet's super important. Exercise is really good. I think people have to know, though, that the food industry is basically out to get them. The food industry and the medical industry are not your friends. They work hand in hand to basically make you sick and make you dependent on drugs. And that's the business model. If you spend any time in the grocery store on inside aisles, I recommend when you go to the grocery store, stay to the perimeter. Yeah, that's where you find your whole foods. And if you start going into those inside aisles where there's all ultra processed foods, you're just asking for trouble. And so avoiding those things is super important. In my book, Ultimate Health, I mention quite a few different dietary things people can do, different snacks that are low glycemic, high protein. And a lot of people do well with ketogenic diets. A lot of people do well with carnivore diets. I think people should just start doing something in that direction and see what works for them.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing these great strategies to weight loss or to maintain healthy weight. Very interesting information. You mentioned that we can control our weight or lose weight through some food supplements. And you mentioned probiotics, or the easiest one to go with yogurt with live cultures. Then you can do what's called do it yourself, DUI or YI. And another strategy that you mentioned is to lower the amount of carbohydrates. And we need to be active in exercise regularly. And in your book, you go in more details about weight loss. So that is a resource people can refer to get more information about that. I know
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to tag on to that. If a person is trying all these things and doing all the right things and they're still not getting anywhere, I personally think that the benefits outweigh the drawbacks of GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, and tirzepatide. There's other ones, but in my personal opinion, I think that those, like being obese and having diabetes, are high risk factors to your health. So if you're doing all the right things and you're still not getting where you need to be, then I think maybe spending 8 weeks to a few months just lowering your body mass, as long as you're taking, like, I actually have a free guide, the 7 secrets to semaglutide success, because there are a lot of drawbacks to it. But if you actually understand how to get your protein intake up, how to do resistance training. For instance, if someone's not willing to consume a high amount of protein and do resistance training, I don't think they should try Ozempic or any of these tools, because they're probably going to lose a lot of muscle mass, and they're going to ruin their metabolism. And then when they come off of it, they're going to rebound weight gain and all these things. But if they read my free guide, they'll explain the simple ways that you can counter these things. And I'm not suggesting people start there. I think people should try and do all the other healthy things first. But if you're still stuck, I think, being obese or having blood glucose and insulin problems is more dangerous than doing a GLP-1 agonist for a few months just to help get the upper hand on things. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you can use these things as an opportunity to reset your lifestyle, because it does actually make the cravings and the appetite drop significantly. So as long as you're committed to making a lifestyle change and becoming a healthier version of yourself, it's just another tool. It can be used, in a positive way, or people can just be lazy about it, and that's never the solution.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that as well. I know you talk about natural pain relief methods. Can you share some effective natural approaches or ways that you can recommend for people just to manage the pain or reduce the impact of that pain?
Sure. Well, inflammation is, at the end of the day, what's at the root cause of all these things. So healing your gut is going to help for sure. Taking something like berberine or metformin can help with inflammation, systemic inflammation. The GLP-1 agonists also can help with inflammation. A healthy diet's going to help. Exercise is going to help. But even things today, a lot of people carry a lot of pain up in their upper back and lower neck, right at the base of the neck and upper back. And a lot of that has to do with their posture these days. A lot of people are spending time on their cell phone a lot of the time, and even working on laptop computers, and they're looking down so much that they're developing almost like a hump here at the back of their neck. So if you're experiencing pain in that area, I think just a very simple thing people can do is hold their cell phone up higher, so it's more like at eye level. When I'm working on my monitor at work, I keep it up at eye level. That can help just keep the strain off your neck, for starters, and help keep your posture proper. And then obviously there's different things that can help with pain. There's a peptide, and a lot of people aren't familiar with peptides. Insulin is a peptide. GLP-1 agonists like semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, those are peptides. But there's also peptides that can help with pain and healing. One of them, which I talk about in the book, which I personally am a fan of, is called EP037. And there's another one called TB500. And those are just acronyms for peptides. And all a peptide is a small chain of amino acids. And amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, which form neurotransmitters, hormones, enzymes, bone, muscle. Pretty much your whole body is made up of proteins, except for the water, of course. And obviously there's fat in your body too. But what people need to know is there's peptides that can help with pain. For instance, there's one called ARA290, which is actually very good for nerve pain. And there's a lot of things people can look at. There's a supplement called MSM, and it's another name for it is called organic sulfur. That can actually help reduce pain as well and lower inflammation. And at the same time, that particular supplement helps oxygenate your body. And having more oxygen in your body is always a good thing. Another supplement that's really good for pain is magnesium. a lot of people are familiar with calcium, and calcium obviously has good support for your bones and other tissues. But a lot of people don't really realize that magnesium is very, very important to help loosen things up and gain flexibility. So a lot of people that have a lot of muscle tension and pain, they could be probably they're acidic, and they're probably magnesium deficient. So handling those two things, and those are not difficult things to handle. Very, very simple, very, very affordable. You don't have to go to an expensive doctor and get expensive surgeries, and there are solutions.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that great information and sharing some tips as well. So the key point here is to reduce inflammation through diet, exercise, or physical movement, plus with some supplements.
Right. And some people even do, like, they'll go even more extreme and they'll do cold plunging. And that's become quite popular these days, to actually bathe in ice cold water for a short period of time. And a lot of people find that that reduces their inflammation. A lot of people have good success with sauna and red light therapy. And so there's really a lot of solutions out there that a person can. The particular gym where I go work out, they have a sauna and they have a cold plunge. In fact, they have a couple of each. So that's actually a strong draw there, and one of the main reasons it's such a popular gym.
Brilliant. That is another great tip people can try, but with caution. So they have to try the level of the water to be cold. They should be comfortable with that level, without going to extreme, without progress gradually. Is that correct?
Well, the particular place I go to, they have two cold plunges. One is set to around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I know you're in the UK, so you would think in Celsius, and I grew up in Canada where Celsius is more popular, and the current, the units they use there. But I'm in the United States now. I'm near Clearwater Beach, Florida. It's near Tampa. And the cold plunge there, they have one at 50 degrees Fahrenheit and one at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And personally, I find the 40 degree one, because that's actually only 8 degrees above freezing. Like water turns to ice at 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So 40 degrees is quite cold. And I personally have a hard time tolerating that one. So, in fact, the 50 degree Fahrenheit one isn't necessarily easy to get into, to be quite honest. And I'm not actually a big into cold plunging myself. I prefer other means of handling inflammation, but a lot of people do it regularly. I think it's Dana White, the UFC president for MMA fighting. He's so into cold plunging that if he goes on a vacation somewhere and they don't have a cold plunge, he'll actually have one shipped in before he gets there, just so he's like addicted to doing cold plunging. And also for emotional reasons, because people get this dopamine release after they get out of the cold plunge and they feel very invigorated. But I mean, that's not for everybody, and I'm not suggesting everybody start cold plunging. I'm just giving people ideas on what they can consider instead of getting hooked on pain meds and things that are based on opioids, because that's probably going to not turn out well for a person. And there's been a lot of people who have died from these things, or just ruined their lives.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So people can try it, and they can make their own progress as well. Let's talk about hidden toxins in our environment and how everyday products can impact our health. How can we identify some common hidden toxins and how to minimize the exposure?
Sure. Well, it's unfortunate because since the Second World War, we've lived in a very chemical-dominated environment where we don't even use natural substances to grow our food in. I mean, the soil is natural, but the fertilizer that's put on it, the pesticides, the fertilizer is all based on petroleum. and the pesticides kill things, and glyphosate or Roundup is, they use tons of that stuff every year, like maybe thousands or millions of tons. I have no idea what the worldwide consumption of Roundup is, but it's disgusting. And that is toxic to people. So obviously eating organic as often as possible is a good plan. It's more expensive, but a guy named Gary Brockie from 10X Health Systems, he teaches you how to clean your produce. So you can actually use baking soda and vinegar in water, and that will help neutralize, like if you can't get organic, or even if you're getting organic, you might want to still clean your produce. And it actually has other benefits, because I don't know about you, but when I buy strawberries from the grocery store, it seems like they go bad pretty fast. They're good for a couple days in the fridge, and then they start getting mushy and stuff. But what I found is that when you clean them at home with water that's got baking soda and vinegar in it, the strawberries stay for a week or more in the fridge. I would say they last triple in the fridge as long, and they stay fresh. And not only that, but you've actually neutralized a lot of the pesticide residue and cleaned off any other kind of junk that might be in them from handling throughout the process. But then, I mean, obviously, just eating packaged foods, eating in restaurants. Unfortunately, there's very little organic food in restaurants, and a lot of it comes pre-made. So here in the United States, there's a company called Cisco, and they supply almost every restaurant. Or there's like 2 or 3 different food distribution companies that supply most restaurants. So even though it looks fresh and it may be made fresh in the restaurant, the source of that food is probably quite questionable. So, I mean, eating at home as much as possible, eating eggs, organic grass-fed meat, organic, whatever you can get your hands on, I think is definitely a good plan. And then obviously cleaning agents are very toxic as well. So household cleaning agents, and even everything, there's like basically underarm deodorants have, if you use scented ones, those scents are very artificial. Those can be hormone disrupting. Plastics are tremendously hormone disrupting. I mean, it's really unfortunate. There's just so many toxins in the environment these days, and it's almost impossible to avoid them all. Like, I don't think anybody can avoid them all. So that's why I think detoxification is so important, and doing things like sauna, and doing some of the things in my book that explain how to detox your liver, how to detox your kidneys, how to detox your fat. Like, all these things can be detoxified, and I think people should probably do that at least once a year, just to try and stay on top of all the toxicity that there is in the environment.
Very interesting, and it's I would say it's scary, but we should do something to just at least reduce the impact of toxins. And you mentioned that it's difficult to avoid it, but there are some ways to or to have other options, like eating organic food when we can, and avoiding some beauty or cleaning products. Maybe we can opt for natural beauty and cleaning products. They won't be 100%, but they will be better than chemicals,
Right.
cleaning products. Yeah.
Yeah. Any ladies who might be listening, a friend of mine, her name's Denise Duff, and her husband Michael, they created a brand called In Your Face Skincare, and they have wonderful natural skincare products that I recommend. Like, my wife and I use them, and so many of our friends use them. It's all natural ingredients, no chemicals in them, and they're just wonderful, high quality products. And you only need a little bit of them. So even though they're more expensive, face cream is not something you use a lot of. You can use a little bit, and it goes a long way and gives a a great benefit. So, products like that, I recommend highly to people. Just look at the label. If you can't pronounce it or you can't read it, like you don't understand what that chemical name is, maybe try and opt for something more natural. And, just try to minimize the amount of chemicals that you're exposed to.
Thank you for
Even when you move into a house and like you put down new carpet off gases something called formaldehyde. Formaldehyde's actually used for, uh, you know, keeping bodies from deteriorating. It's just a totally unnatural stuff, but you know, these things you breathe them in, and mold is a huge issue here in Florida because the humidity is so high. And just as one example, my air conditioning unit was so full of mold 2 years ago that when the contractor came in to look at it, he said he'd never seen an AC system with more mold in it. And we were breathing that air every day. So just something that people can do right now is have someone go in and inspect their air conditioning unit, like look inside it, see if there's a lot of dust buildup and a lot of mold buildup. You can put UV lights in there. You can put a HEPA filter on your whole house filtration system. I mean, there's so many things a person can do to do something about it. And if there's any one message that I want to give people is that, yes, we live in a highly toxic world, but there is hope and there are solutions for everything. So just start finding these solutions, implementing what you can, and I'm sure things are going to improve for you.
brilliant. Thank you for sharing some tips to reduce or minimize toxins. And you touched a little bit about detox, because we get toxins, then how can we get rid of them? And the process is called detox or detoxifications. Can you touch a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd love to. I mean, that's really a lot of what my book is about, is how to detox the various organs of your body. And the one that I feel is most primary for everybody is their colon, because what you eliminate through your colon and your rectum is some of the most toxic substances in your body. And that stuff can sit in your colon for weeks or longer because not all of it's necessarily removed all the time, and it can build up on the walls of your colon. And so in chapter 1, I share something called the internal body wash. It's based on something called the salt water flush from a book called The Master Cleanser, but I adapted that somewhat, where if you actually drink, and then you should read the instructions for this. I'm just going to summarize it, but I don't suggest anybody do it just based on what I'm verbally saying right now. But if you actually consume salt water, and I'm not saying a lot of it, it's like about a pint of salt water, or I'm trying to think, roughly half a liter of salt water. When you drink salt water, your body does not actually absorb it. And if you were stuck at sea, if you were on the ocean and you didn't have fresh water to drink, obviously there's water all around you. But if you try and take a glass of salt water and drink it, some people might think, well, it's probably the salt is dehydrating, and that's probably why it wouldn't help you. But the real reason is that when you drink salt water, it just passes straight through your body. And so this was actually something that was developed in India, in Indian medicine. And if you drink about half a liter of salt water first thing in the morning, as long as your bowels are moving regularly, what should happen is that within about half an hour to 30 minutes, that salt water flushes right through your colon. And then you can actually drink additional glasses of water after about 40 minutes after taking the salt water, and push even more water straight out through your body. And that flushes out your colon better than anything else you can do at home that I'm aware of. Otherwise, people will actually go to clinics and they'll do what's called colon hydrotherapy or colonics. And a colonic is basically where they actually insert something in your rectum and force water in your colon to clean it out. And it's not comfortable. So I recommend everybody just start with doing this saltwater flush at home and cleaning out their colon. And obviously you want to be taking probiotics and replenishing good stuff in there. But that's just one example of how to clean out your colon, which has got the most toxic stuff in it. I mean, your liver is working all the time, cleaning out your blood. There's a 24-hour liver flush that I explain in the book that's highly effective. There's different herbal cleanses for your kidneys. Detoxing your fat, sauna. Sauna is one of the best things to do for that. But if you also use something called niacin, which is vitamin B3, if you use niacin and exercise in addition to sauna, that can be more effective because I don't know if you've ever tried it, but if you take about 500 milligrams of niacin or vitamin B3, what happens is your circulation supercharges and you turn beet red as though you'd have a huge sunburn. But what it's doing is supercharging your circulation, and then you do some exercise, and then you go into the sauna and sweat out these additional toxins. And there's just a lot of different things people can do. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's just take three methods. Colon detox, which is done through salted water.
That's one way.
Yeah, and the second one, liver detox, and sweating. I like because sweating is the easiest one, right?
Yeah, right. And that's going to help everybody. So if people like having a sauna, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a hot sauna. There's infrared saunas now that aren't extremely hot that still get the job done. And based on the research I've done, they're all equally healthy. So if you don't want to suffer in extreme heat, you could consider an infrared sauna.
Brilliant. Very interesting. So sweating is not about dehydration. Is the body gets rid of toxins? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, brilliant. And after sweating or the colon detox, so we need to rehydrate it.
Right. And electrolytes are very important. A friend of mine, Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Berg, he's famous on YouTube and social media. He's got an excellent, really clean electrolytes product, and it's got 1,000 milligrams of potassium per serving, which is way more than you'll find, I believe, in any other product. And he uses just top-notch, high-quality stuff. My family uses that. Most of my friends use Dr. Berg's electrolytes. I'm not paid to plug him, but he is a friend, and I believe in what he's doing. He's got great content too about dieting and almost handling any kind of other health issues someone might have. So I highly recommend him. Dr. Mercola, I really believe in. Dr. William Davis. Dr. Gundry still has a lot of information about gut health. There's a lot of great people out there sharing good information. So I think my book is easy to read and summarizes a lot of these people's work all in one place. It makes it simple. You can download a free copy of the first chapter of the book at craigbrockie.com/free. And that's where I have my semaglutide secrets guide and a peptide cheat sheet that teaches people about peptides. I give people discounts on all our supplements and our probiotic yogurt maker. So if someone wants to check those things out, they're welcome to. But if they resonate more with someone else, I'm fine with that too.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that information. I have watched you talking about a probiotic maker or a yogurt machine in one of your videos. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and that's the product that we sell the most of. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and it pairs so well with the Super Gut book I was telling you about that Dr. William Davis. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He wrote the series called Wheat Belly, and he's actually a cardiologist, and he found out that people with heart disease had a strong correlation with diabetes and prediabetes issues. So he was one of the doctors that actually linked heart disease and diabetes together. And then he realized, well, wheat is something that's really causing a lot of people trouble. So he wrote a series called Wheat Belly, but he found that not everyone was responding, and they needed to get more probiotics in their diet. So then he started doing experimenting with making your own high potency probiotics. And he found that that was very, very effective. And he found very specific strains of probiotics that you can use, because the yogurt that you get in the grocery store usually only has 2 strains in it, and they're not particularly effective. In fact, they don't even populate the small intestine. They only populate the colon. So Dr. Davis did a lot of research into this, and Supergut explains all these different probiotics that you can use for very specific reasons. And actually, whenever someone buys our probiotic yogurt maker, we give people a summary of these various probiotics and recipes that they can use. And they do have to buy the probiotic separately, because a person might have a particular issue, like maybe they want to focus on weight loss, maybe they want to be gaining muscle. A lot of people have different reasons for wanting to use probiotics. Weight loss is obviously very common. Diabetes is something that people want to address. So in our guide, or free guide that comes along with it, which summarizes some of the Supergut recipes, you just pick up a bottle of this. Like usually in a bottle of probiotics, you might have 30 or 60 capsules. And you only have to take one of those capsules to make a whole batch of about 1 liter or even 2 liters of yogurt. And then the probiotic count is so much stronger. And so when you're eating like a half, I'm trying to say it in metric for you, but Dr. Davis recommends half a cup a day. So I'm trying to think, that might be about 200 milliliters or maybe 100 milliliters. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the math on that, but a half a cup, you guys can do your own conversion on it. And he finds that that can have up to 250 million live cultures just in a half cup of yogurt. Meanwhile, that one capsule, you're not making half a cup of yogurt, you're making 1 liter or more of yogurt. So you truly are turning billions, that might be say 10 billion live cultures in one capsule, into trillions of live cultures. Because in our yogurt maker, you can make up to just under 2 liters at a time in one machine. And the other thing is, when you buy store-bought yogurt, not only does it have just 2 really ineffective strains of yogurt, of probiotics, but it's only cultured for about 6 to 8 hours. Whereas what Dr. Davis realized is if you add prebiotics to the yogurt, and prebiotics are what probiotics eat to multiply. So if you put prebiotics and you ferment it for 36 hours, the probiotic count, just the chart just goes whoop. And towards the end of those 36 hours, the probiotic count is just going through the roof in terms of how strong it is. So it's so much more affordable, and it's so much stronger, and you get to pick which probiotics you're going to multiply and use for your body based on whatever your needs are. So I'm super excited about this product. We sell millions of dollars a year just of this one product. And it's something I'm basically evangelical about, because I believe it does so much good for people. I have a friend that had dairy intolerance, and within 2 weeks, his dairy intolerance went away just from eating probiotic yogurt. It's just, I've seen so many amazing benefits people have had from this. Acne, digestive issues, immunity improves, people lose weight. Dr. Mercola actually has a probiotic, the Dr. Mercola brand, and you can take that one and ferment that one if you're focusing on weight loss, for instance.
Brilliant. Very interesting information. It's
fun too.
Yeah.
And it tastes great too. What I use flavored stevia. Like you can buy stevia bottles that have different flavors, like chocolate, butterscotch, cherry, etc. And then you just, after you make your yogurt, I just usually put a few drops of that in there, mix it around, eat that. It tastes delicious, and it's just loaded with life, and it helps people.
So you can add or you mix anything you want. So you have total control.
Absolutely, and you don't have any. There's no sugar in it. There's no additives. There's no chemical additives. If you look in the grocery store at any kind of sweetened yogurt and you read the ingredients, or even unsweetened ones, sometimes they'll have agents that are like to make it like thickeners and artificial stuff, and you don't get any of that junk. I just use organic, usually half and half dairy or whole milk. It turns out really well, and it comes out really thick too. It's almost like a Greek thickness of yogurt, and it's delicious.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
as
sure.
well. I have got a question before we finish this episode. What
Sure.
inspiring message or advice would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners to motivate or help them on their health journey?
Okay. Well, 30 years ago, my health was a complete disaster. I was chronic pain, chronic anxiety, my immune system was shot. I didn't know what to do. And there wasn't really anybody who summarized exactly what to do. I spent 30 years researching this, talking to some of the best doctors in the world who routinely heal people, help people overcome cancer, all kinds of debilitating diseases. And there are solutions. And if a person is just willing to disregard perhaps what their conventional doctor is telling them or what they're seeing on TV in terms of take this drug and it'll solve your problems. If people just tune that out for a while and actually start looking at natural solutions, and there's actually, for instance, there's a video, a movie, a documentary film actually called Cancer, The Forbidden Cures. And it's so controversial you can't even find it on YouTube. You actually have to go to rumble.com. It's called Cancer, The Forbidden Cures. And if you watch that video, you'll realize that there's been cures for cancer for decades, and reliable, repeatable cures. And what happens is whenever these things come out, Big Pharma jumps on these people and tries to ruin them. And they start by character assassination first. Then they try and drag them through the legal system. They might revoke their license, and it gets worse from there. So it seems like, in fact, the more a doctor is actually helping people through natural means, the more they're attacked by the system. There's a guy in Canada, for instance, his website is truehope.com, and he routinely helps people overcome bipolar disorder and anxiety issues and depression using natural means. And what happened was Health Canada came in, basically took him to court and tried to shut him down. He had to go to the Supreme Court of Canada to overturn that and stay in business. And this is a guy whose wife actually committed suicide from bipolar disorder. 2 of his children were diagnosed bipolar and were suicidal, and he was at risk of losing 2 of his children. And he basically said, okay, I'm not going to let this happen. I need to find a solution. And he actually discovered which supplements and minerals and vitamins a person needs to actually get the upper hand on some of these disorders. Maybe not 100% of the time, but most people seem to respond to this. And his website's truehope.com. I'm not paid by him either, but I highly recommend people check out services like this. Watch films like Cancer, The Forbidden Cures. Check out truehope.com, and you'll realize that there are solutions to all of these problems. And so if you're just willing to disregard what you see in the news and disregard maybe some false reports, this guy from truehope.com, he's totally attacked. And if you read articles about him online, you might read the horrendous things about this guy. Oh, he's terrible. But the truth is, he's just a loving man who's trying to help people. And he found a way to truly help people. And as a result of that, he's become, unfortunately, heavily attacked.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your great, inspiring message. So there should be a hope. And even if we have been suffering for a long time, we should try another method to regain our health. Thank you for sharing that.
Exactly. And you might read something. Obviously, everybody's body is different and people respond to different things. So if you read a success story that someone's had with a particular thing and it doesn't work for you, don't lose hope. just try something else that, might work for you. And by no means do I recommend you only read my book and just do what I recommend. There are lots of natural health doctors out there, chiropractors, and other specialists that can help you and can work with you and help you identify what really your body needs to heal. And if you start giving your body what it needs to heal and getting the things like toxins out of your body, then things are going to turn around for you. And I'm very, very happy to share this message with you, because I think everybody can look younger, they can feel younger, they can have more energy, more optimism, less anxiety, less depression, and all these good things that you want in life, and enjoy life for a change. If you're not having a particularly, like, say you're overwhelmed with depression or anxiety right now, I understand. I lived through anxiety for many years and it's unpleasant, I know. But get your gut health restored, get the toxins out of your body, get some exercise, start working out in the gym, start losing some weight. And when you look in the mirror, you start feeling good about yourself. Your life's going to change around. You're going to become like me. You're going to want to go on podcasts with guys like you and just share your successes and encourage more people to live the life that they want to live.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing this inspiring message. How can people find you if they want to get in touch with you, learn more about you and what you do?
Thank you. My website is craigbrockie.com. I think my name's on screen that I can see right now. So if you just go to craigbrockie.com/free, you can get the first chapter from my book for free. You can get our peptide cheat sheet for free. You can get the 7 secrets to semaglutide success for free. You can get a 15% discount on all our products. Ultimate.club is our company website. That's where we sell our probiotic yogurt maker, our berberine product, and essential amino acids that we didn't get a chance to talk about today, but those are excellent as well for people's health. And actually Amazon, we're a bestseller on Amazon. So if you go to amazon.com/ultimate, you'll find all our products there. And I'd love to connect with people on social media. Any social media platform you're on, you can go look for Craig Brockie. I'd love to connect with you. I'm sharing helpful information every day. Got a free newsletter at craigbrockie.com/newsletter. However I can help people, I'm willing to help them.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your contact information and free gifts for our audience. Thank you for that. Is there anything that you think we didn't cover and you want to mention it before we wrap up this episode?
Thank you. One thing that I failed to mention that I really should are amino acids and peptides. We were talking a little bit about peptides. Peptides are chains of amino acids, and amino acids, again, are the building blocks of bone, muscle, neurotransmitters, hormones, enzymes. All these very, very important things in your body are based on and built from amino acids. And if a person isn't eating enough protein, or if their gut health is compromised, and most people today aren't eating enough protein and their gut health is compromised, so they're protein deficient. So there's a great product called essential amino acids, and those are the 9 amino acids that your body cannot produce on its own. All the other amino acids it needs, it can synthesize on its own from these 9. So these 9 essential amino acids are the most important protein building blocks in your body. So what I recommend is, while a person is trying to either lose weight or they're just trying to heal their body, to take these essential amino acids while their body's repairing, because you're giving your body all the little tools, these amino acids it needs to rebuild itself and get all the hormones you need. Well, it helps build hormones, supports enzymes, neurotransmitters, bones, muscle. And when it comes to losing weight, for instance, a lot of people lose a lot of muscle and their appetite's suppressed. So if you take these essential amino acids, it can help you maintain your muscle mass while you're losing weight. And I just think they're a wonderful product, and that's why we created them. And you can get a 15% discount on those at, where do you go? craigbrockie.com/free. We've got the 15% off on those too.
Brilliant. Thank you for adding that as well. Now we have come to the end of this episode, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our amazing guest, Craig Brockie, for generously sharing his time, expertise, and insight with us today. I also want to thank all of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, for being a part of this episode. If you need additional guidance or support, you can book a call with me at wellnessimpact.org. If you found today's episode insightful and valuable, I invite you to join our community of people committed to thriving with diabetes. To stay up to date with upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe and follow us. Once again, thank you, Craig, for being our guest today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this impactful journey. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.
Thank you.